G'day guys, welcome back to Reach Me or Teach Me. This one here is a special request from my Canadian friend who was trying to learn a bit more about cricket and understand cricket, and he was hoping to see me do a reaction to some sort of cricketing videos, and I thought, well, while I'm doing that, maybe I can explain some of the concepts to somebody else and some of the other viewers on here, because most of the people watching these videos are coming from America, Canada, and throughout the Northern Hemisphere. So for those of you who are not familiar with cricket, I hope you enjoy this reaction, and I can hopefully teach you a little bit about the game as we go along. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell. All those particulars help us out with the algorithms as much as you can. Don't forget, it takes 2 seconds, and if you don't like me, you can always unsubscribe and click off the videos. Blue Army. So this will be from India, because Indian cricket team's blue, and they call their fan base the Blue Army. First thing I'll say is you can see here that there is different uniforms for cricket. So if you see the players in coloured clothing, such as, what's this one? Yep, okay. So if you see the players in coloured clothing like we see here, this is short form cricket. So it will either be a 20-20 match, which means each team plays 20 overs, and an over is when the bowler, this guy here, bowls 6 deliveries. Alright, once those 6 deliveries are finished, that's 1 over, and there'll be 20 of those using different bowlers and things like that for the batsmen. Now, if they're wearing, there's another form of short form cricket. This looks like it might be one day cricket, which is 50 overs. So a 20-20 match usually lasts around about 3.5 hours. A 50 over match, where both teams play 50 innings each, that can last 6 to 8 hours. And then you'll see them in white clothes, I'm assuming, in this video too. When the players are wearing white on both teams, that's what they call test cricket. That's the original form of cricket, and that's the one that you guys think about when you think of, oh, cricket's boring and it lasts forever. That's the game that can last 5 full days, and that is incredible, a test of physical and mental toughness as I think you get in sports. So while it can be a little tedious for the uninitiated, Test cricket is the ultimate pinnacle of your ability to perform. Think of it like a playoff series in basketball. So regular season games, in one game, any particular team can sometimes beat any particular team. But over a stretch of 7 games, the best team is pretty much always found out. So it's the same with over a test of 5 days, where teams essentially play at each other for 5 whole days. Over that 5 days, the better team will dominate, because the weaker team will capitulate, whether it's fitness or mental fatigue, whatever it is. So the longer the format is, the more it sort of holds true to who is actually a superior team. I hope that makes sense, and I hope I didn't waffle too much.
Shoots off a thick outside edge. Amazing athletic fielding.
Alright, I really hope that's not an indication of what this video is going to have, because that was a pretty ordinary fielding effort, to be honest. I would see that every single game 10 times a game. Education wise, this is our boundary line. So we used to have the boundary where the fences are, which is like you have in baseball when you've got your big walls. The only difference is all your walls are all padded all the way around. Ours weren't. They were just metal and barricades and stuff. So players kept injuring themselves because they'd slide along and smash their knees or their heads or whatever into the fences. So they ended up bringing the boundary in. So you can just see at the top of your video, this is the actual fence, if you'd like, and the crowd's on the other side of that, and then they have this, like, depends, it's 5, 10, sometimes more meters from the boundary, which allows players to sprint towards the boundary and slide over the boundary line without hurting themselves. But the big difference with cricket is you cannot, as a fielder, neither the ball or you, when you are touching the ball, can come in contact or go over this boundary rope. So what he did then was to stop the ball from touching that boundary rope, or it would have been considered a four.
Steve Smith, he's like a jack in the box. See him in the slip region, in test matches and anywhere in the one-day game.
Oh, that's pretty. I haven't seen that. That's pretty. Watch the slow-mo of this, guys, when they break it down. Okay, so education-wise again, so you'll see there's a couple of creases, a couple of what they call line or creases. There's lines here. Now the batsman, either themselves or the bat while they're touching the bat, has to cross over this line here before the ball hits these things. Oh yes, so he's slid to pick that up, which is a great stop to start with. So he slides to stop that, but look what he does next. How's the awareness? Flicks it up to his teammate who's ready to throw the ball. And there. So the batsman has to cross this line. Not themselves, not themselves, but the bat. And you'll see, I'm sure you'll see it in later clips in this. There'll be ones that are very close. That's as good a bit of fielding as I've seen. I love that. From both players. I've seen this before. So this is the local 2020 competition in Australia. So these are the batsmen on the Adelaide Strikers. This is Jofra Archer, who's playing for the Hobart Hurricanes. He was the bowler, and as you see, I'm going to take that back. So he fields the ball off his own bowling, which is good. Great diving stop to start with. The batsman did not expect him to get to that or stop it, so they're now caught short of their ground, and he throws while he's on his back and hits one stump. So a stump is probably about 2 fingers wide, maybe not quite. You know, they're about, in American terms, a little bit like 1.5 inches, maybe 2 inches max in diameter. I'm trying to think. Nah, they wouldn't even be that. They'd be 1 inch, 1.5 inches in diameter. So he's got to hit a target that's let's say 1 inch, 1.5 inches wide while he's lying on his back. So that's pretty impressive. And batsmen are caught in the middle of the pitch. This is what they call the pitch. It's more or less the same distance as your baseball pitcher's mound to the plate. 22 yards from this crease here to this back crease here, so from wicket to wicket is 22 yards. And the bowlers bowl at similar speeds to your pitchers. There are some bowlers that bowl 150 plus kilometers an hour, which is 160 kilometers an hour is 100 miles an hour. So they're in the 90s, and the big difference is they're allowed to bounce the ball into the ground. And if you can imagine a baseball pitcher that's pitching at the regular speed they pitch at, but they're able to bounce the ball into the ground, and then you've got to try and hit it, and they can aim for you. It's the umpire's camera. That's high. That's high. Good effort. Okay, so that's what I was explaining about before. He can't cross over that rope while he's touching the ball. So if you notice what he does here, comes down, he catches the ball, realizes, and does a great job to stay inbounds, realizes that his momentum and his body weight is going to push him over the rope. He's still touching the ball, so he's smart enough, he just throws it up in the air while he's in the air. So he's still not touching outside the ground here. He has not laid foot outside here or on the rope. Comes back down, catches the ball. So he keeps the ball in play, he goes out of bounds, comes back into bounds, and takes the catch. Throws it up, and comes back in. That's just smart cricket. That's also the Australian competition.
That's smashed straight to the man. Oh no.
Oh.
It was actually a very good effort in the air.
Oh.
And an even better effort.
That is extremely hard to do. So he's running full speed, diving full stretch. The ball has just bounced in front of him. It's what we call a half volley. It just bounces in front of him. So at this point in time, if he's not going to get to it, there's a chance the ball can bounce up, hit him in the face, land. If he lands wrong, he's breaking his fingers. It can get pretty ugly. So he's done a really good job to even stop the ball here.
To the man. Oh no.
And then he's lost it. And then he keeps it in play again. That's a good fielding effort, that is. That's a good fielding effort. Very unlucky he couldn't quite get to the catch.
Subfielder, and he's done brilliantly.
Has he what? He wants to catch this.
Of their bat.
Oof, that's high.
Long on.
That is high.
Plunkett's there. Oh, Plunkett's done really
Good effort.
well.
So he could not catch that and stay in bounds. He knew he was going to go out of bounds.
He's
So
done
what would have
really-
happened is he would have caught that ball, fallen out of bounds, and that would have been classed as the ball going over the rope on the full, which is a 6. So that counts as 6 runs. So instead of 6 runs, what he's done there is he's thrown the ball back in, and they've probably run 2, maybe 3.
He stopped
So
6 and given away 2.
there you go. So he saved 4 runs with that one bit of fielding there.
Shardul Brathwaite. Remember the name.
And Toe's very close to that line. Oh, that's baseball-esque, that is. That is brilliant. So that's in from the outfield. He's come flying in, attacks the ball. Look at the pickup. He's so well balanced. Picks it up with one hand. His front foot is already getting prepared to stand forward so he can launch off it. And then a flat throw while he's on the move. Oh, and this will be a good example. Hopefully they slow this down. Yeah, so see how the batsman's stretching the bat out here? So the batsman themselves doesn't have to cross that line. But if his bat is on the ground, can't be in the air, if it's on the ground over that line while he is still touching it, he would be considered safe. So you can see how close some of these get. The bails have just come off now. Ball's hit the stumps, and he's short by maybe 3 or 4 inches. That's a great bit of fielding, David Warner. So that's the Australians again. That was a one-day international, so that's 50 overs. Woo!
Are you kidding?
Oh, the catch to start with, absolutely ridiculous. Oh, geez, that looks like he's bent his fingers in. Man, oh, they've called that. They've said he's touched the rope. Oh, he's not happy. Jacob Duffy for the New Zealand Black Caps. Sharp. I think he gave him the left-handed flick there. He did too, yep. He wasn't even looking at the stumps when he let that go. Look at this. He's not even looking at the target. Pretty sure he's a right-handed player, and he's just flicked that with his left hand. This is the Pakistanis, because that's Babar. And who was that? Not sure who threw that. It's against the Australians.
So unfortunate from McDermott once again.
Ugh. Oh, soup. Oh, he put it down. Oh, recovery. This guy here who dropped the catch, unfortunately, is one of, if not my favourite player of all time. Brendan McCullum is currently the coach of the England cricket team. Just an absolute blood, sweat and tears warrior.
I think he's done it. I think he's done it.
So at this stage in his career, he was crippled with back injuries. So for him to even dive for that ball, but this was the kind of guy he was. Like, he had so many major back injuries that but he kept playing all the way through, captained his country, and this is why he had all his injuries. He would throw himself around in the field and do some incredible things.
I think he's done it.
His batting was the best. So explosive, just an absolute smacker. Matter of fact, I think it's his record that's just been broken. Most sixes in international Test cricket by his player, Ben Stokes on the England cricket team. So he was captaining the player who broke. He was coaching the player who broke his record. It's a great effort. And then he kept his cool, got the throw in, gone. Oh, good throw. Look at that. Jeez, he looks safe there. That must be super close. Look at that. Off balance. Completely horizontal when he lets that go. I can't see because of the... Slow down. Let me see. He must have been out. This is the Australian 2020 competition again. I have seen this one before. When I very first saw this catch, I could not believe what he has done. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to wind that back so you can see it in fast motion, and then I'll say nothing. Now that I've done a bit of educating, you guys can see this one for yourself and make your own synopsis.
Man deep on the rope. It's not an easy catch. Oh, he does everything he can from. Oh, the best catch you'll ever see. Benny Lachlan
Right.
takes it, throws it back 30 metres, and the catch is taken. That is an absolute.
Did you see what happened there?
Special.
No, Howie, I think we have seen the greatest outfield catch ever taken.
So he catches the ball, but he's going out of bounds. Clearly can't stop it. So he doesn't just flick it back in to save some runs. He flicks it 30 metres across to his teammate, who takes another diving catch. Oh, they didn't show the teammate's catch. That's annoying. Oh, that's fuzzy. That is very grainy. Nah, but he's done a brilliant effort again to get that back in. So he's taken the catch and still got it back in. Whew. Great bit of fielding. Fix your hat up, mate. Oh, so they only got 1 for that, and it should have been 6. So he saved 5 runs.
That's a brilliant catch. Flicked it back. All he needed was someone.
And like, to put that in perspective, a good score in, this is Test cricket, they're all wearing whites, a good score would be 350 to 450, and a great score would be anything above that. A bad score would be, well, below par score would be 250 to 350, and then anything below 250 is just not going to cut it. So he saved 5 runs there in 1 possession. You can imagine if you're just saving 1 run here, 1 run there, 1 run here, 1 run there, you can reduce that 350 total, which would be a standard good total, to 300, 320 just through good fielding, and that can be the difference between winning or losing the game.
Right there would have been magnificent catch. What a great effort.
That's like those little 1% defensive plays in basketball where you just grind it down, and over the 48 minutes you end up with a much easier chase. You get into the late part of the game and you can close it out.
That's all the way. Oh no! It may have been.
That's a great stop.
That is superb.
Same thing. We've seen a few of those already. Does a good job to bring that back in. I'm not sure that was better than the one we saw earlier where he flicked it 30 metres back to his teammate, but it's his list. Number 1, what do we got?
A little bit on the back foot.
A lot of these from the Australian 2020 competition, the Big Bash League.
There goes big, the bulldozer. Rips another one in the leg side. But Johnson Silk. He flew like Superman.
Great effort.
Saved 4 runs there.
That's a great effort. Jordan Silk is actually an extremely good fielder. He does make some extremely great full stretch diving catches. I think he was nicknamed Superman for a little while. I'm guessing that's it, unless there's any little bonus clips. No. Alright guys, well thank you very much for sticking around. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Hopefully you learned a thing or two and enjoyed that reaction. If you did, leave a comment and I can always do more on the cricket stuff and even the Australian Rugby League codes and even the Australian Football League. I can do all sorts of stuff like that, and if you guys are wanting more content like that, just leave a comment below and let me know and I'll get straight into it. No problems at all. Well, thank you very much guys. We'll see you in the next one.